Hello, Legend of the Samurai here with an Assa Twin 6000. This is an old snowman core, and while I don't have a key for it, it is fully pinned up with gin bottle spools and matched countermilling. And this particular lock behaves very, very strangely. I'm actually going to pick it more than once. I'll go through quickly, and then I will go through again explaining what's going on in the lock that actually lets me do this. So, picking clockwise, open, and then just for fun, let's do it counterclockwise. And open. Okay, so this having gins and countermilling, I should not be able to do most of what I just did. However, because of exactly where the sidebar ends up binding in both directions, I can take a lot of shortcuts. So what I'm doing going clockwise is I'm bringing 2, 1, 3, and 4 up to the milling. 5 and 6 are low cut, they start in the milling. And right now the sidebar is binding. But I am not going to pick the sidebar yet. Instead, I'm going to use the fact that it's binding at exactly the right location, such that the gins cannot fall into the countermilling. So if I just go through 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like I hit 5 earlier. Oh, wait, I missed 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, all of the top pins are completely set. I didn't have to float anything. I can then go back through, and the sidebar in this lock has 2 zero lift pins in chambers 3 and 4. So I'm setting 5. That one's good. Now I'm coming up to 2. And now I'm using a trick here. I have just set 2 steps up, and I am not applying any additional tension. I do not want the plug to move, because I have 1 side pin left, and if I just come up to the right height with that, I can open the lock. So because there are the 2 zero lifts, you need to be using a tool that will actually let you reach past or under them without overlifting them, and that can be a significant problem. But it does mean you only have to deal with 3 of the side pins, and if you can set 2 of them and lift the 3rd one to the right spot, then you can open the lock. Going the other direction, it's a little bit more involved. Again, I'm setting 4, 2, 3, and 1 up into the milling. Now the sidebar is binding, and I can't actually set anything higher yet, so I need to go 1, 1, 1, set the first side pin, to 2 to set the second, and then I'll pick up the fifth just a little bit. And now, where the sidebar is resting is actually going to allow me to set pin 3 and 4. And because I didn't fully set side pin 5, that's why I can do that. I left it where it was binding specifically so I could set those two. Now if I go back to 5, I have to wiggle it a little bit. Sometimes I have to tap the other side pins to get it to go. There we go. And now, the reason I set 4 first that way is because 4 would like to drop some of the other side pins, but now I can just go through and set the rest of the gins out of their milling. Work my way back, and it's open the second time. So really, this is just a perfect storm of where the exact elements bind at any given point in this lock. And so that can happen. In a lot of locks, you'll actually end up with the top pins and the sidebar completely isolating, and in twins that have gins on top and the 6K or exclusive series, which have the nastier side pins, that can make for an extremely challenging lock. However, they happen to mostly nullify each other if you're using a couple little tricks in this particular cylinder. So now I will take it apart and show what is inside. And I will go from the top because I do not have a key to take this apart. All right. There's our first set. That's our second and third drivers that came out. All right, so there's our top pins out. Show those really quick. And now we can take out the sidebar and the side pins. And one thing to note, at least on these old snowman cores, the screws on the back are not Phillips head, they are in fact posi drive, so you want to make sure you grab the right screwdriver bit, otherwise you risk stripping those out. Alright, so there's the back of our plug, see the keyway and the sidebar groove. And as I take this out, I want to have one finger on the sidebar and one finger covering up those side pins. So there's our housing with our sidebar groove. Here are our 5 side pins and our sidebar. Take that out first. So this sidebar is 54113. Those 1s are true 0 lift, and that 5's max lift. And then we have our side pins, and they are all identical. And our springs. Alright, so here's the plug. That's where the side pins go. That's where the sidebar goes. Here is our top pins, and we have milling in 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. And they do not mill in the third chamber from the front. I'm not sure why they don't, but that is true in all of the twins that I have seen that use gin milling. If it's barrels, then they'll mill all of them all the way across. And there's our little 51 keyway. And then show one of these side pins. So there are false gates and then one deep true gate. And that interacts with this sidebar by allowing, if you're in a true gate, you can go in about that far, and if you are in a false gate, you cannot go nearly as far in, and so the sidebar cannot retract. Then we have our old standard Assa key pins with the flat tops, and our old gin bottle spools, nice and sharp. And they grab into that countermilling very effectively. There's 6, 5, 4, nothing in 3, 2, and 1. All right. So that is an Assa Twin 6000, picked a number of times because it behaves really strangely, and gutted. So, hopefully this was a little interesting excursion on some of the stranger things a lock can do. Sometimes that'll let you pick it more easily than it was intended, sometimes not. But it's always worth paying attention and figuring out what's actually happening in the lock and taking advantage of that if you can. All right, thanks for watching and have a nice day.